What's up, everybody? So we have more Microsoft Activision acquisition news.
Piper Paraboo and Polly Perrette need to push back the pitch on the Princess and the Pauper project.
This time we're going to be looking at the CMA. A report came out in February. What it's essentially looking at is how important Call of Duty is to PlayStation. It doesn't take into account that PlayStation is kind of in a weird transitional period right now due to the effects of the pandemic. Call of Duty isn't on the Nintendo, and Nintendo is flourishing. It's doing just fine. And this report was done by the CMA, which has a stake in seeing this deal crash and burn. Now, in full transparency, I haven't read the full report.
Didn't you get my email explaining the situation?
I skimmed it.
Just the parts that I think matters most, in my opinion. So this one's coming from Game Rant. It's written by Daniel Boyd. Players buy PS5 for Call of Duty more than for exclusive games. And just right off the rip, right? Compare that to what they said in the report. In the report, it states that they only targeted players on the PS5 who play Call of Duty. So if you don't play a Call of Duty, you're not part of this report. And so their research isn't taking PlayStation players as a whole, they're targeting Call of Duty players. So just right off the bat, this is wrong. You can't extrapolate that out to, anything that's of substance. Anyway, according to a recent survey, more PlayStation gamers choose to purchase a PS5 in order to play Call of Duty rather than any Sony exclusive title. The rampant sustained popularity of Call of Duty on PlayStation consoles brings into question the morality of Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Okay, this survey was conducted by the Competition and Markets Authority. Now, in the CMA's defense, they did reach out to an independent researcher for this, but they don't name the independent researcher or anything like that. So it's no way that we can kind of fact check this. And this is out of the report. I looked everywhere for it. If you do have that information, drop it in the comments, but I couldn't find it. Anyway, but so the fact that it's conducted by the CMA, as far as this article is concerned, they're saying that it was conducted by the CMA. They have a stake in, putting an end to this acquisition. So I wouldn't trust them as far as I can throw them from the get-go. But in order to garner how significantly Sony's future will be impacted by Microsoft's acquisition of Activision. This was part of a larger report arguing against the prospect of Microsoft being able to take over Activision and its respective IPs. A significant majority of gamers who took part in the survey, 89%, stated that they opted for purchasing the PlayStation 5 due to the availability of one or more games. Of that 89%, almost 3/4, 73%, stated that they bought their PlayStation 5 unit in order to play Call of Duty. Now, I know that Call of Duty is a very popular game. I know this. But in your heart of hearts, who out there thinks that 73% of people who bought a PlayStation 5 bought it for Call of Duty? Seriously. That, for one, that don't even sound right. That doesn't sound right. So from the get-go, I'm looking at this side-eyed, right? I'm looking at this with a bit of caution, that's why I wanted to look at the actual report and see what they had to say. And that one paints a very different picture of what's going on. But that's not true, because the sample size that they, pulled from were only Call of Duty players. So, you can throw those numbers out wholesale, right? Given the Call of Duty has always been a multi-platform release, there's no real reason to play it specifically on a Sony console. With that being said, Sony has had a marketing deal struck with Call of Duty publisher for a number of years, meaning that the PlayStation logo has immediately followed any Call of Duty trailer dropped at a big event for the past few years. This, in combination with the exclusive in-game Call of Duty content offered to PlayStation players, has strongly tied Call of Duty with PlayStation for a fairly long time in the eyes of most gamers. I will give you that. I will concede that point. This is true. And during the FTC trials that are going on here in the United States, they did reveal that Activision approached Xbox and was threatening to take Call of Duty off of Xbox altogether if they didn't update their revenue deal. So, which obviously happened. But it's just funny to see how things are playing out right now. In comparison, let's get out of that. Sorry, Game Rant. In comparison to the 73% of players who purchased a PlayStation 5 for Call of Duty, 69% bought the console to play exclusive games. Percentages were also given for specific exclusive titles, with 41% buying it for God of War, 39% for the. See, dude, that makes no sense. So, what you're saying, is more than God of War, more than The Last of Us, more than Spider-Man, Marvel's Spider-Man. People want to play Call of Duty on the PlayStation 5. Man, I'm sorry, you can miss me with that garbage. And 25% for the Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, I'm not buying that. Outside of exclusive titles, it was also noted that 45% of surveyed players picked up the Sony console for Grand Theft Auto 5 specifically. Assassin's Creed, Fortnite, and Star Wars were also all popular reasons for acquiring the machine, but all of those percentages paled in comparison to that of Call of Duty. CMS claims the proposed Activision acquisition, I think they meant CMA, will create an unfair advantage in the video game market, upsetting the balance in such a way that could lead to potentially overall net losses across the industry. It also proposes that the consequence of this change in the marketplace would be a negative effect on the consumer. On the contrary, the CMA report conceded that due to its target demographic, the survey potentially overstates the significance of Call of Duty when it comes to consumers choosing which console to purchase. Although there has been a 10-year deal offered, and that's also a thing. Microsoft has promised that they wouldn't take it off of PlayStation for 10 years, so that's got to feed into it also. Although there has been a 10-year deal offered to keep Call of Duty titles on Sony platforms, there have been subsequent claims that the Call of Duty franchise could be made exempt from the Microsoft Activision deal. Not sure what that's saying right there. Not gonna lie, I read it too fast. So if I could speak with the CMA, give them a bit of unmerited and unlicensed advice, the first thing I would say is, pull from a bigger group of people. When you take this survey, instead of targeting a specific group, maybe instead of throwing percentages out there, use a graph, because it could potentially strengthen your argument, or in this case, lessen it, and make sure that you hadn't put your bias on full display for everybody to see, so it could be taken more seriously. Let me know what you think about all that in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one, but until then, keep it casual. Peace.